Minnesota may be known for its lakes and loons, but our state's real treasure is Pinus resinosa, or red pine, the state tree of Minnesota. With its distinct red flaky bark and long needles, red pine helps Minnesota's forests stand tall. In this video, we'll discuss the current conditions and silvicultural management of a red pine stand. This stand is located in Finland State Forest in northern Minnesota's Lake County, about 6 miles inland from the north shore of Lake Superior and 60 miles north of Duluth. The stand is 35.7 acres and is owned by the Minnesota Department of Natural Resources. The stand is adjacent to a hiking and snowmobile trailhead. According to the USDA's Web Soil Survey, the soil classification is coarse, loamy, isodic, frigid, oxyaquic eutrodepes. Under the Minnesota DNR's ecological classification system, the stand is an FDN 33 northern mesic mixed forest, which can range from solely coniferous to solely deciduous canopy cover. Red pine tolerates dry, sandy soils and moist loams, such as the loamy soil at this site. Red pine is a shade-intolerant, mid-successional species that self-prunes in dense stands. Seedlings grow best in 35 to 45% full sunlight and favor conditions created by fire, which makes natural regeneration challenging. The stand in question is a pure, even-aged red pine stand. Red pine is the dominant species with balsam fir and paper birch in the understory, balsam fir and red pine saplings, and abundant balsam fir seedlings. The red pine saplings are dead or declining, likely due to shoot blight diseases or lack of growing space. A dense shrub layer includes beaked hazel and red osier dogwood. The stand is a red pine plantation with trees planted in neat rows.
1, 2, 3.
The average tree is 54 years old and 62 feet tall, and the total stand basal area is 110 square feet per acre. As an even-aged plantation, the stand exhibits a unimodal diameter distribution, with an average DBH of 12 inches. By ocular estimate, most red pine has a 30% live crown ratio and is dominant or codominant. Vertical and horizontal structure are homogeneous throughout the stand. There are abundant snags and down dead wood, likely due to density-related mortality or self-thinning as the stand nears the end of the stem exclusion phase.
It's in the stem exclusion phase.
Growing space is fully occupied, with red pine crown closure occurring. As a commercially important species, red pine is often managed for timber in even-age systems. Because this particular stand is bordered by recreational trails and a busy road, specific goals have been developed for appropriate management. Goal number 1 is to provide habitat for cavity and hollow denning wildlife, such as small birds and mammals, and goal number 2 is to maintain visual appeal and high recreation value. To create wildlife habitat, the main objectives are to add structural diversity by maintaining 2 age classes and to retain existing and create new snags and large coarse woody debris. To promote visual appeal and recreational value, the objectives are to regenerate a new cohort of red pine and to retain 50% crown canopy closure of mature red pine. Red pine is often managed on an even-aged rotation with clear-cut harvesting, but because this stand is visible from a major residential road and adjacent to recreational trails, a clear cut would likely face opposition from the public. To achieve goals focused on wildlife habitat and aesthetic value, we'll transition the stand from even-age to 2-age management using a shelterwood with reserves system. Like any silvicultural system, shelterwood with reserves incorporates 3 parts: regeneration, tending, and harvesting. Each harvest includes an establishment cut to remove 40% of the existing canopy, with wide spacing between reserve trees. Reserve trees should be healthy in the dominant crown class and have a single straight bole. To minimize competition from balsam fir, the species composition of reserve trees should not exceed 10% balsam fir. The stand will regenerate through artificial regeneration with 400 planted red pine seedlings per acre. Before planting, mechanical site prep is necessary to expose bare mineral soil. Although red pine is shade intolerant, it can regenerate in a shelterwood with reserve system due to its thin crown and with adequate spacing between reserve trees. As a new cohort grows, we'll tend the stand using intermediate treatment such as mechanical release with a brush saw and free thinning to release pine from balsam fir. Because diplodia is widespread throughout Minnesota and causes high mortality of young red pine, Sanitation cuts may be necessary if the disease is found in the overstory. With proper tending, a new cohort will grow alongside the older reserve trees. Eventually, through management with shelterwood with reserves, this red pine stand will contain 2 age classes, providing habitat for wildlife and a beautiful forest for recreation.